Okay, after we've learned to add by ones, I bet you think the next step is adding by twos. Wrong. What we're going to actually do next is learn how to skip count. And the way to do this and get them involved with it, take a pile of 20 counters for them, and don't tell them how many it is. Have a pile over here for yourself and say, let's have a race. Let's see who can get down to who can count this pile the fastest, okay? Now what you're going to be doing on your own, you're going to be counting by twos. They don't understand that yet, so they're going by one. So when you say get ready, get set, go, I'm going 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, done. And they're probably at about 7, 8, or 9, or 10. And they're going to look at you like, how did you do that? I'm going to say, it's magic. I've learned how to count by twos instead of one. You were going 1, 2, and I was grabbing 2 at a time. 2, 4. See how fast that goes? Now, would you want to learn how to count that fast? Imagine you could go to school or preschool and you'd be able to be the fastest counter out there. That's how you get them hooked to it. So, you have a number line here. And when we go to skip counting, I'd like to make sure that they're color coordinated. Since we're going to start with evens, I colored the even numbers. And that's the ones, it's a good visual aid for them to see. And that way it's easier for them to pick it up. So what we're going to do now, when you count by twos, what you really do is just skip the next number and then say the next one. So let's do this with me. I'll point and you tell me the numbers. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Chances are they'll be able to go with you up to 10. But then when they get up into the teens, because we haven't reinforced that as much, they're going to hesitate a little bit. And that's fine. Again, this will just give them another chance to retain digits 11 through 20. Now, again, once you've gone through, we're going to say, now let's go backwards and say the digits. And this will be tough for them again. So don't make them hesitate too much. Help them out. So what was this number? 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, and so on. You're going to go through that for three or four times, and that's going to be it for that lesson part. The rest of it is you're going to go back and you're going to take a deck of cards, and you're going to take all the face cards out of it. And what we're going to do here is we're going to reinforce what we've done before, adding by ones. And we're going to show them by saying, we're going to play this little game. I'm going to lay a card down, and every card that we lay down, I want you to add 1 to it. So I'm going to lay down a 3, and they're going to go, at first they won't get it. And you go, okay, remember 3 plus 1 is? Oh, 4. And if you catch them looking up here at the number line, that's okay. Because eventually this number line is going to be burned into their brain visually. And they will use that for the rest of their life once they get into advanced math. Now, you don't want them to totally do that, but let them do that at the start if they need it. So what's after 9? 10, 7, 8. Go through half of the deck or maybe the whole deck and say, way to go. Now tonight, when you're watching TV, I want you to take this deck of cards, and when there's a commercial, I want you to sit down and see how many of these you can go through until the commercial's over, okay? Now, if you're letting them watch, and this shouldn't be a problem since we know we all let our kids watch too much TV, pick out 1 half-hour show So we know there's probably 3-4 commercials, and have them do that just through that half-hour show. You don't have to be there. You're not using any of your time, and they're not going to argue because they don't have to miss the show. So they'll actually, again, at a younger age, be glad to do this and probably come in and tell you, look how many I got done during that commercial. But that's just another little way of letting them work, and you're not having to use your time on there. So today's lesson would really take less than 5 minutes for you. You're going over the skip counting and introducing it frontwards and backwards, and then having them reinforce their adding by ones. And that's how you introduce evens skip counting. Once they have gotten the concept of skip counting by twos, we of course will move on to skip counting by threes. If they are hung up going backwards, you can go ahead and move on. As long as they can skip count easily all the way up to 20 going forward, that's the main concern. Again, going backwards is we're just trying to get that brain to set it to understand its own little pattern to pick up. And another little rule that you can have, which really works well, I call the car rule. I make sure I have a number line in the car. And every time you get in the car, the child's going to do their skip counting from 2 to 20 and 20 back. Now think about how many times we get in the car a day. To the store, back into the car, going back home, to school, back from school, da-da-da-da. How many times that might be. Here is just another example how you can fit this in during the day and not use your precious time that you need to yourself at home. As many ideas as we can come up with where we as parents or grandparents don't need to do this or cut the time down, it just makes it easier for us. I, again, like to do a little competition with the car rule. I set a rule saying that in the first 3 minutes, if you reminded yourself to do your skip counting in the first 3 minutes, you get a point for that. But if you forgot to, and I had to remind you to, you're going to lose a point. And we're going to keep a total for the week. And at the end of the week, if you have so many points, you guys decide on some little gift, something little, go get an ice cream, whatever. But there again, let's get them starting to be responsible to do it themselves. And of course, if you actually want to have a timer every time, that kind of tips them off. So just whenever you think it's been about 3 minutes or you realize they forgot, go ahead and say, hey, it's been 3 minutes, you lose your point, and then have them do it. But how simple can that be? Just every time you get in the car, another way to help you out. Once they're able to do, again, the twos, the evens, and I'm sorry, I think before I said we'd move up to the threes. Actually, after we do our skip counting by twos on evens, we're ready to skip count by odds. And it'd be just the exact same process, going with the odds instead of the evens. Again, this might be another 2 to 3 week process. But once they're able to skip count by twos, then we're going to show them how to use those skills to begin adding by twos.